homophobia has never affected me that severely, emotionally or physically, but I think that every person in the LGBT community can attest to the legal implications it has. Most of them are kind of in the future, the big one being marriage. I think that the biggest hurdle there is homophobia. And the biggest argument stems from religion, which is fine, because I personally would never ask somebody to change their religious views, because my views are just as set in stone as yours are, and it would be very rude of me to say, you're wrong, just because I personally think you're wrong, and you need to convert to my way of viewing the world. But I do think that there is a humongous issue of separation between church and state. I think that you can point to the Bible where it says about gay people and why you interpret that to mean that homosexuality is wrong. You could do that all day, and I won't argue with you. I will agree with you if you want me to. But you can't point to where it says that in the Constitution. And in the First Amendment, it says that you have the freedom to believe that, the freedom of religion. You have the freedom to interpret that however you want. And if you interpret that as God thinks homosexuality is wrong, that's fine. That's you're right. But if that's what you interpret to mean your freedom of religion, then I also have the freedom of religion. That means that I have the freedom to not believe what you believe. So I think it's very, very ignorant to use the First Amendment in two contradicting ways. To say that you're allowed to believe homosexuality is wrong, and so therefore it should be illegal across the board because of the Christian religion. But how are you going to say that when I have the freedom to not believe that? You can't implement Christian morals or values on everybody. I have the freedom not to be a Christian. And not to say, by the way, that religion is linked with homophobia. I'm just saying the biggest argument is religion, because there are many religious people who aren't homophobic, and that's great for you. So I think that that's the biggest issue that I face and that the community faces. It's just homophobia that keeps us from having the rights that we deserve because they're human rights. I don't see how my life can affect yours that way. That's like saying you're on a diet and you're upset that I'm eating a donut in front of you. I don't see how it could affect your marriage if there was a straight couple living in a house and I moved in with my wife next door. I don't see how they would start going to marriage counseling and say, well, ever since Shaddyann and her wife moved next door, our relationship's been going south. It's just, it blows my mind. And I guess lastly, it would just be that, I have many friends who are religious and they don't think homosexuality is wrong, but I have friends who do. And we get along fine because it's not your place to judge anybody else. If you're going to go off of that belief, then it's God's place. So any way you spin the argument, I just don't see you being right. But the funny part is it's the same for you. No matter how I spin my argument, you don't see me being right. But it doesn't mean that we can't love each other and just live the way each of us want to live. Because, I think homosexuality is only mentioned in the Bible once, and love is in there dozens of time. Not to judge anybody and to love thy neighbor. So, I guess I'm going to stop rambling.